What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with reactions to the classics, and today we got Cowboy Junkies, their album Lay It Down, brought to us by a friend, longtime supporter and patron of the channel, Robert. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you. Appreciate all you bring to the channel. Appreciate all the patrons. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out the Patreon link below. The Patreon link on the end screen. The patrons keep this thing going. We put up stuff every single day. Now, Robert's already brought me some great stuff, the Pet Shop Boys, Jane's Addiction, Elbow, to name a few. So really looking forward to this. I don't know anything about Cowboy Junkies. I've heard the name because it's a name that does stick out in your head, right, whenever you hear it. And I heard it throughout the years, but never hit mainstream or anything. So I'm going to have some pretty good background on them and on this album because there's not a lot of research out there on these songs themselves. So let's jump into the quick facts. Cowboy Junkies are an alternative country and folk rock band formed in Toronto, Ontario, Canada in 1985. By Alan Anton, the bassist, Michael Timmons, the songwriter, guitarist, Peter Timmons, drummer, and Margot Timmons, the vocalist. The three Timmonses are siblings, and Anton worked with Michael Timmons during their first couple of bands. John Timmons was a member of the band, but left the group before the recording of their debut solo album. The band lineup has never changed since, although they use several guest musicians on many of their studio albums, including multi-instrumentalist Jeff Bird, who's performed on every album except the first. So Jeff might as well be a member of the band, right? They have 16 studio albums, 5 live albums, and tours booked in 2023, in this year. So they're still around. This was their 6th studio album, released on February 27, 1996. First album for Geffen Records at the end of their recording contract with RCA. It was the band's first album that could be described as straight-ahead rock rather than country rock, country, or blues. It's also their first album consisting entirely of original material with no cover. So it sounds like Robert chose a good one here. The Junkies chose to step outside of Toronto to make this album. They looked for a location that was remote, but a comfortable drive from Toronto, and found Rock Island on Lake Cashobog. We'll go with that, which was an island with one house on it. The Junkies visited the house 1 week at a time, spending time chopping wood, cooking, boating, and hiking, and also working on songs. They had the same laid-back feeling that the location had. A local person who ferried supplies and equipment over to the island was a gentleman that they knew as Zolt. Zolt had fought in the Korean War on the communist flight, flying MiGs for the Bulgarian Air Force. He and his wife came to the West in the 60s and settled at Lake Cashobog. Unfortunately, later in life, Zolt's wife developed Alzheimer's and had to be hospitalized. Their story became the basis for the song Come Calling. One's performed up-tempo from the man's perspective as a survivor, and one's more subdued from the woman's perspective as the stricken. So I'll reference this story I won't tell you the whole story when we get to those songs. When the band was ready to record the music, they looked for a studio that had the same vibe as Rock Island, with a sense of relaxed but focused mood and a remoteness from the music industry. In Athens, Georgia, they found John Keane in his studio in a big porched southern house. Keane was selected by the band for his laid-back, independent approach to recording, and also for an impressive resume of artists who had previously worked for. The Junkies decided to focus on recording as a 4-piece for this album, with Michael Timmons doing all the guitar work. Additional instrumentation was kept to a minimum, although the band introduced strings for the first time. On 4 of the tracks, Keane's assistant David Henry also played cello and toured with the band after the release. Henry also helped with the strings section on the album. With the band's history of recording as a whole instead of individually, they wanted to record the strings in the same manner in order to create a sound of playing with the band instead of just adding more sound and overdubbing it, right? Andy Carlson wrote the arrangements and led the quartet, with him on violin, Henry on cello, Carl Schwab on violin, and Peter Schwab on viola. And on the song, Speaking Confidentially, the Junkies kind of let the quartet take over. All tracks on here are written by Michael Timmons, except for one, and I'll note when we get to that one. So I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. If you've never joined us before, the music will not be in a video, but it will be in the Vimeo link below. Watch along with us. Thanks again, Robert. Well, the album opener is Something More Besides You. And as I said, I really don't have anything for any of these songs. We'll let the songs speak for themselves and break it down afterwards. Something More Beside You. I was so excited, I guess you would say, when I heard Margot's voice initially and just the arrangement of this song and the intricacy of really the guitar playing on here, which it's subtle yet so good by Michael Timmons. Because there's 13 songs on here, and like if you don't like the sound, it's going to be a long reaction, right? For me, and wow, just fantastic, and a well written song, right? A well written song because from the first verse, this is going to be well written. 1 foot stands before the crib, the other by the casket. A question formed upon still lips is passed on but never asked. I guess I believe that there's a point to what we do, but I ask myself, is there something more besides you? And it comes up with the two are born to cross their paths, their lives, their hearts. If by chance one turns away, are they forever lost? So that whole old saying that there's somebody out there for you, a perfect person. You just got to cross paths. And then she gets into that same chorus. I guess there's a point to what we do. But I ask myself, is there something more beside you? This morning I awoke, the bed warm where it was once cold. Small blessings laid upon us, small mysteries slowly unfold. Because I didn't know which direction it was going to go. I thought maybe the guy was gone, but he's actually there. So, and that's very interesting. Although it's hard to find the point to what we do, do I dare believe that there is something more beside you? So, is there more to life than just you, or is that what my purpose was supposed to be? So, I mean, fantastic, man. Next up, we got A Common Disaster. A Common Disaster. Once again, really good instrumentation there. You know, I thought Michael's guitar work and then Alan Anton on bass was quite nice as well. Peter Timmons on the drums. I'll just throw him a shout out. I don't know if these songs all stay in this kind of vein. The drums are not going to ever come to the forefront, but they got to be there, or you wouldn't be able to get this thing done. So A Common Disaster is, she's basically just wanting to get out of this town, right? She had a long list, and she finally came up with your name, and she wants to know if you want to get out of here. She had a falling out with a friend, but he's as crooked as a stick in water. So now I'm writing fairy tales to catch a spirit of revenge. He's got a plan to steal my little sister, but I'm not too concerned because I will get him in the end. And just ask him, won't you share a common disaster? Share with me a common disaster. Run away with me from life so cramped and dull. Not worry too much about the happily ever after. Just keep the caddy moving until we're well beyond that hill. Let's get out of this town, right? The age-old rock and roll story. Let's get out of this town and go. Now up to the title track, Lay It Down. Lay It Down, haunting vocals from Margot. Great bass work and drumming there, and obviously the guitar work was pristine. Very sad song, right? Something's up with this guy. Some bad stuff has happened. We don't really know what it is. He told his children those little white lies. The truth would only paralyze them. He told himself those little white lies. The truth would only paralyze him. He might have killed someone because he left his dead in the cottonwood trees, the ground grown too hard with the years. So I don't know if is this guy's serial killer. I don't know. But he broke all his promises under sea green sky. They never thought to ask him why under a sea green sky. Please bury me in the cottonwood trees, the ground grown too cold for me. Going to sleep tonight in a warm feather bed. The ground too cold for me. Lay it down, lay it down. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, was he a killer? I don't know. But a very haunting song, sung in just the right way with those lyrics. Next up, we got Hold On To Me. Hold On To Me. I'll tell you something. Michael Timmons can write a song. I mean, he can really write a song. The diversity on these first several songs, the subject matter. This song is so well written because it's talking about in a relationship, right? This is with someone that you love, right? A romantic relationship. Maybe a husband, a wife, a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. But, you know, it's in any relationship really. But I mean, in the context of the romantic relationship, if you offer me a shade of blue, would I return it by saying that it was too dark or light? Or would I see it for the precious thing that it might one day be? Hold on to me. If you offer me a point of view, would I dismiss it saying that it was too black and white? Or would I see it as a special thing that it would no doubt be? Hold on to me. I'll hold on to this gift we share. It's as slippery as it is rare. I'll hold on to that feeling of waking and finding you there. I'll hold on to you and you hold on to me. And then turns the tables. Would you feel the same way if I asked you something? So didn't want to read you all the words, but they're just so well done because, right, it's all perspective a lot of times, right? If the significant other asks you something, it's all on how you take that. How do I choose to respond to that? Am I going to see it as they're attacking me, which 99% of the time they're absolutely not. They're on your side. Or am I going to view it as, oh, you're attacking me and I'm going to come back at you? And it turns a simple comment into some sort of argument. And I've experienced that once or twice or 100 times in my life. So I totally relate to this song. And next up, I don't think the songwriting is going to get any lighter in subject matter. Come Calling, in parentheses, his song. This is the two versions, right? Male and female versions. This is his version from an elderly relationships, an elderly couple dealing with the pain and anguish of Alzheimer's. It's Zolt's version of who inspired this. Come Calling, his song, his version of it. So Zolt's version of it. Man, I've luckily never, I mean, my grandpa, but he was 91 and I wasn't around him a lot at that point in his life because he lived in different places. I've never really been around somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia. But this song puts you in that, I mean, just the pain of it. You know, it's tragic when someone dies. I think in Alzheimer's, it's almost, I don't want to say it's more tragic. I don't want to assign, scores to tragedy, but like having to live it out every single day with that person not knowing you. But starts out the stillness here, like what he sometimes finds inside her. Hits so hard it can still your breath forever. He sometimes wonders, is the sum of their lives together, him on the floor and her lost to a mind in tatters. And then drinking is a recurring theme through here. He's drinking to ease his pain, right? If I could fix me up a week of twilight hours, would sit on the point and watch the sun continually flounder. Bathed in gold, we plug into some kind of power and connect with those days. Going back, right, to that time. It's so hard, whenever we go through any sort of tragedy, I always go, man, I should have enjoyed it more. But you can't have that perspective unless you lose it, right? Or go through the tragedy. It's not like you can sit here every day and go, man, I appreciate this. Like, that's not how you can live life. You couldn't function, but that's what he's looking back on. And man, it's the last line. So you're drinking for the pleasure of falling, and you're falling for the pleasure of pretending. And I'm sitting by the window waiting for you to come calling. So we're going to get to her version in a little while. Next up, we have Just Want to See. Well, arrangement-wise, Alan Anton on the bass was the star here. Really let that run. I think the song itself, she wants to know how she dies, right? She wants to see it. I don't want it to be no patch on no quill. I just want to see tear-stained stitching, linking memories together. So she's just going on. Bloodstained note saying, F you all, I just want to see what kills me. So she changes from I just want to see. I just want to see what kills me in that call and response. I thought it was really smart way to do that. She says, Tommy, are you ready? We better head down. Or we better head to town. JD's box is waiting to be lowered down. And you know how he hates to be kept waiting around. And she's like, I don't want to be no chalk line drawing, toe tag, question mark until identifying. I don't want to fuse with no economy seat. She doesn't want to wreck, right? On a plane crash, right? Fuel some fireball at 30,000 feet. So it's just a song about how she wants to know how she dies. She doesn't want to die in all these different ways. So, Michael Timmons' a songwriter, I said earlier, very varied, to use a double word there, but very varied in content and subject matter. So that's been quite entertaining. Next up, we have Lonely Sinking Feeling. So I'm not sure this is going to be upbeat. Lonely Sinking Feeling. These are interesting songs because Michael Timmons wrote it, right? So he wrote it from a man's perspective, but Margot's singing it, right? But she's still singing from that man's perspective. And it's a feeling that I hope many of you watching this has never gone through, but most of us have that lonely sinking feeling of when you care for somebody and think everything's good, and they give you the old, it's not you, it's me line, right? I hate that line. Sometimes it's true, but I don't want to hear that because then it means there's nothing you can do, and that's why you're told that, to disarm you so you don't try to save it. She's telling him she's having that lonely sinking feeling, and he knows what that means. In the end of the first verse, just when I think I've uncovered the secrets of peace and tranquility, that lonely sinking feeling creeps up on me. So he's having it, she's having it for different reasons. Her, because she doesn't think the relationship's going to work. Him, because he's doomed because he thought it was going to be perfect, and now she's gone. So it just really, really delves out what the end of a relationship's like, right? Like it really does get you in there. I thought the arrangement was perfect. The very last verse, just when I thought that I discovered the joy of loving one so completely, that lonely sinking feeling creeps up on me. So, wow, man, powerful song. Next up, we got Angel Mine. Angel Mine. Now, I said at the start, this was their first straightforward rock album. There's a pedal steel on there, and I don't know who's playing it, right? But there's a pedal steel on there. So, I don't know if that's Michael Timmons or someone else, but it gives it that little bit of country feel. Angel Mine, it's just real simple. Right? It's a real simple song. It's basically just telling us, he's just saying that I don't know where your wings are and this or that, but he's just so happy that she's his, right? And she's like an angel to him. And she tells him, I don't know if I'm ever going to get wings, but I'll always be true to you. And so that's kind of how the song plays. That's kind of a nice love song, but put it in a way that, it's a little unique. All right, next up, we got B's song, River Song Trilogy Part 2. I don't know where Part 1 is. Let's check it out. All right. B song, River Song Trilogy 2, a really good song. B is fading away. John, her man in her life, is there with her by her side, but he doesn't see it. He sees that she's looking past him. I think her life is coming closer to an end, right? They're getting older. he doesn't see what she's going through. She even references she's drowning and he doesn't know it. He's standing on firmer ground. So I thought a really good song. I'm not sure the exact meaning. Maybe if I knew where part 1 was, or it says trilogy, maybe part 3's out there somewhere, I would go listen to him and fill in the blanks, but still a really good song. Speaking of Michael and his writing, this is the one that he wrote with someone else. He wrote it with Margot. We got Musical Key. Musical Key. I think Margot probably wrote this with Michael. It's a shout out to their parents, right? Their mom appears in, then their dad appears in about 2/3 of the way through, and just how they sang coming into the house, or she could hear the mom singing across the house. The dad sang as he came in. It was so beautiful. They never sang in a musical key. Just the parents encouraging them, kind words, paying attention to them. Both parents whisper in her ear in their separate parts, win them with your musical key, which I think is more win them with who you are, right? With your attention, with your caring for people. Finding people who are really good listeners has been a hard thing in my life. I think it's a hard thing in most people. Most people don't listen because they're more self-absorbed or thinking about what they're going to say next. And that's kind of the point here. The parents listened and encouraged. And man, as parents, we need to do a lot more of that and a lot less of looking for what our kids are doing wrong. We need to be looking at what they're doing right. So I thought that song was great. And next up, we got Speaking Confidentially. Speaking Confidentially. More clever songwriting, right? Speaking confidentially, the fire that burned inside of me has turned to ash, the tortured tree that grows beside the anguished sea. Speaking confidentially. Then she's going to speak metaphorically. Then she's going to speak hypothetically. Then she's going to speak cryptically, right? So 5-line verses that start off that way on each one of them. I thought Margot sounded great. I thought all of the musicianship on here was top-notch, forming a soundscape that really drew you into what she was going to say next. All right, we got 2 tracks left. We got Come Calling, her song. So we're going to get it from Zolt's wife's perspective. Come Calling, her song. The exact same lyrics. I don't know how it would be. So the difference is in the arrangement, right? The 5th track, Come Calling, his song, was much more upbeat. This is much more, I think Michael Timmons, in the emotive way he played that guitar, it makes you feel her pain, right? Her despair. It's hard to describe. Obviously, hopefully you just listen to it and watch this on Vimeo, but it's really hard to describe it. You just feel that pain. So I thought that was really good and a really nice way in a masterclass in showing how you can perform the exact same song, but by changing up the arrangement, you feel it in a different way. Now we're up to the last track, Now I Know. Now I Know, Michael's great acoustic work there. And I wonder, right, because we started out the album with Something More Besides You. And now we end with Now I Know. Same, a little bit type of same arrangement, just a little bit there, the acoustic work of Michael. And in the first one, she's asking, in Something More Besides You, she's asking, is there anything in this earth, in this world besides you? Like, I feel so good with you. Is there anything else out there for me? And then are we going to Now I Know that I'm on my knees once again, made aware of the world out there. Grief is a word to describe the absence of feeling. Now I know what it means to be broken. I don't know if they're bookended there for a reason. Maybe Sean's just trying, I'm sure I am just trying to read something into it. But an interesting choice to bookend this album. Now we'll get to my favorite tracks. There's 13 songs in this album, and 7 of them are favorites or honorable mention, although one of them's the same song. So that'll give that away, right? Well, honorable mentions, we'll go Lay It Down. And then Come Calling, his song and her song. I liked both of those arrangements. And then this last song, Now I Know. Faves are going to be Lonely Sinking Feeling. I just thought it really delved out that emotion so well. A Common Disaster. And my favorite is the first track, Something More Besides You. So what an album, man. What an album. So that's going to bring me to my overall score. Definitely a rock album, although we did get the steel pedal in a few of those songs. I did listen to their album, The Trinity Sessions, from way back when. I just went back and looked. I didn't remember it, but for our album drafts. But this is really good. I mean, I really enjoyed this. I mean, the star of it, there's 2 stars of it, right? It's Margot's vocals, obviously, and Michael's writing. And for this to be the first album that they didn't do covers on is really surprising to me because Michael is such a fantastic writer. Maybe he was storing all these up, ready to unleash them on one album. I don't know. But overall, I'm going to give this album an 8.0. I think it's a fantastic listen from start to finish. The soundscape is great. It doesn't seem like 13 songs, 51 minutes at all. It is just a great listen. So let me know what you think of this album. Let me know what your favorite tracks on here. What else should I check out from Cowboy Junkies? Thanks to Robert, as always, for bringing me another gem. And until next time, guys, I will see you.